R.E.N. Radio. It's May 25th, 2025, 5/25/25. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Don't really have any one specific reason for that other than c'est la vie. But I thought I would do one right now just with everything going on. You got baseball in full swing. You've got the winter sports in the conference finals rounds. Some games a little more entertaining than others. Some series a little more entertaining than others. And then you've got a fresh summer movie lineup that has started to rear its head in some of the ad spaces on TV and also trailers before the movie's playing right now. Also went to my first one of those in a while this week, The Accountant 2. I had never seen the first, but just got asked to go, so I went for it. And it was pretty entertaining. It was different than what I expected. Without giving too much away, for those who've seen one, neither, or both, Ben Affleck plays an autistic guy who more or less gets called on for vigilante-ish favors by different people. And he works amongst this network of also autistic people. I would say overall it was a really entertaining watch. I'm also a big fan of John Bernthal's work, and he was in it, so that was a plus. I'm excited for some of the new ones coming out. Both Paul Thomas Anderson and Wes Anderson have new ones coming. It's funny to see how grand their films both feel. Like, some directors, you see their name next to a film, and it just feels like a big deal. Even if you have no idea what it's about, just the cast they're able to put together for each and every one of their projects, and then the uniqueness to some of their projects. It's exciting. So it was pretty wild, though, that they're both coming out at the same time. I think I'll go see both. Probably one in theaters, one rental. So that's just how it goes. I also think the 28 Years Later film looks really good. I think it's going to be one of the rare ones, just from the looks of it, where actually the sequel is better than the original, and even some of the sequels that came before it. It looks that good. Wasn't over the moon about that franchise, but I did enjoy it. I've seen them all, but this one, though it feels very similar to the second Quiet Place in the way that it's presented, it does look like it could be the best of the franchise. So I'm excited about that. Though the one I'm most excited for has to be Eddington. I've just always been a huge Ari Aster fan, and I'm excited to see him venture out again. His first two films were basically just redefining the psychological horror genre. The major motion pictures, anyway, not the short films. Those were a different beast in themselves, but the first two that were big were Hereditary and Midsummer. I enjoyed those. And then he went with an absurdist route in Beau is Afraid. And I felt like it was a very polarizing film, which I think anytime a director steps out of their wheelhouse and gives something else a shot, no matter what, it's going to be polarizing, whether it's actually a success or not. But I enjoyed it because it just went so far away from what you expected in a film. You never got comfortable watching it. It's just a really uncomfortable watch, from start to finish as it's designed to be. And I thought Joaquin Phoenix did excellent in it. It was surprising with Joker being so fresh for him to go from this character that just steals the show and takes a franchise and just shifts the entire way you see it, especially taking on a role that was widely considered as one that could just never be touched again in Joker after Heath Ledger. It was exciting to see him just redefine how you view the Batman Arkham universe and the way that that's, you always root for this anti-hero in Batman, but then he just takes this character and you fall in love with him because he's just so unhinged. And then you follow that up with his performance in Beau's Afraid, and it's so far the opposite, where he is just at the entire world's mercy all at once, and the world doesn't have much mercy to give to him. And I felt like he was really fun to watch with that role. He comes back in this one, and from the looks of it, they've been real tight-lipped about what the film is about and, what to expect out of it. Though from what I've gathered, it's more or less a contemporary climate film where it's just, this is life today is kind of how it felt from the trailer and what little they've released about it. This one's by far and away his lengthiest big name cast for any film he's done. He's had some really great stars of the past in his previous work, though this one, typically his cast in the way of like lengthy screen time, there aren't many people. Between Hereditary and Midsummer, there were like 10 to 15 people in each one that really got any extensive screen time, where this one, it feels like there's so many different characters that will all converge on the same plot, and it feels very different for him. But I'm excited to see him attempt it because it is such a touchy subject for so many people, and I would be a hypocrite to say that I don't want to see it just because I feel like the mark of a great director or a great writer in any media is they can jump genres. I feel like it's great if you can, be good at one genre or be the best at one genre, but I feel like I get just a little more impressed by those who can go from one genre to the next. Even if they're somewhat similar, if it's something different, I think it is commendable. And I'll never really hold it against somebody for trying, even if it does bomb out, though that's not what I think the case will be here. But I am excited to see that one. I believe it comes out in about a month. And it was funny because it's being screened at Cannes right now, and he did a, post-screening press conference and interviewed him and asked Ari Aster, what do you want people watching this to get out of it? And his response was more or less, paraphrasing when I say it, but he said, basically, I just want people to listen to each other again, which sounds pretty unassuming and innocent. But then if you look at basically any media outlet that put that out there and what people say about that, they were ready to burn him at the stake from all directions. So I have a feeling that this film is going to be a big conversation piece for a million different reasons, and it'll be taken out of context a million different ways. Though I feel like the viewing experience of it will be every bit as captivating as every one of his other projects. And speaking of film, the Eastern Conference Finals for the NBA this year have been cinematic so far. Hoping it stays that way. the game one, last 10 minutes of the game were unreal. If you didn't watch it, of all the sporting events so far this year anyway, if you could rewatch one, even knowing what happened, even not being a fan of either team, I would suggest this year's game one of the Eastern Conference Finals. It was kind of a dead in the water game till the last 2.5 minutes. And they were able to quantify just how rare what happened was when they pointed out that it was, I believe, over 1,000 games since the last time a team was down by 14 with 2 minutes and 30 seconds or less left in a conference final game that happened to win it. And the Indiana Pacers did just that on a shot that can't even really be explained. You have to watch it. It's unreal. And then the presence of mind on what was undoubtedly Tyrese Halliburton's biggest shot of his career to turn around in Madison Square Garden and run exactly to where Spike Lee would typically be sitting and do the Reggie Miller celebration with Reggie Miller also in the building at the time was something out of a movie. I don't have a horse in this race. I hope this goes 7. To me, it's been the most exciting Eastern Conference final matchup in probably at least a decade. I can't think of one that has this much pull to it. Personally, I'm hoping the Knicks win the next one at least and maybe 2 to even it up, because I will be disappointed if this goes 6 even. I just think the history behind this matchup specifically and how evenly matched the two teams feel and how exciting it's been to watch, I feel like we'll be getting robbed if we don't get 7 games out of it. Also, since my last episode, I was able to make it down to Sutter Health Park for a series between the A's and Yankees. It was shockingly the first time back there for me in a couple years, and I tripled how many times I've ever been there in my whole life in one weekend. That being said, it was an alternate universe type of experience. If you watch Interstellar and you watch the first 10 minutes or so when they're introducing you to life as we know it now, in, I forget what year it's set in. I want to say it's like late 2040s or something like that. When they go and watch the Yankees and they're playing in a cornfield, it felt real similar to that. And I wish I was exaggerating or kidding, but it was an odd feeling. I don't know how to describe it other than it felt like an exhibition game in May. You know, anytime it had been more than like 25 minutes since Aaron Judge's last at bat, it basically reverted to feeling like a spring training game all over again. Like, especially before the game, players would be warming up and there's a berm right there, right next to the bullpen, and it's right up against the field and they're 8 feet away, just like they would be at a spring training game. And they're so weirded out by how non-serious or not professional it feels that they too are kind of looking around like this can't be real. Like I don't want to say tension, but the lack of big game feel that even games in the major leagues in April and May can take on, that this one didn't have, was just, it was so palpable. But it's a great park for what it is, for a fill-in. The view's cool. Tower Bridge being over the right center field wall is excellent. It's as good as it gets for this area. That being said, you know, there were upwards of 10,000 people in the stadium each day, and the place is more or less designed for about 3 to 4, so it got pretty crowded. I would say if you're in the area, you can't beat it because there are ways to get around paying for a ton of parking, and it'll probably be the cheapest regular season game you ever go to, as long as it's not the Dodgers or the Yankees in town. But wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to go unless you were just kind of one of those novelty attendees where you love being able to say I was at this weird venue, or you know, that odd particular Monday night football game that happened on a Wednesday. If that's you, then you got to come to this park. But other than that, I don't know. It's trying. It's trying its best. That's the best you can say about it. But that franchise is just, it's in shambles. It was really weird too amongst the fans. You're so used to the "Let's Go Oakland" chants, and people would try that. There's no Sacramento chants. People didn't really know what to do or say or cheer, which also felt like a spring training game where everyone's just kind of there in their own world. So I don't know what'll happen with them going forward, but it was pretty cool for the novelty's sake of it to go see the New York Yankees 25 miles away. That being said, it is exciting to see baseball in full swing. A full brand new summer movie menu that's totally updated and almost ready to start releasing them one after another. And it's exciting to watch the last 4 teams in of each of the winter sports and more or less not be loaded with teams I can't stand. I feel like that's been my luck the last decade or so. So it's been really nice to be able to just sit back and enjoy the games. I forgot what this felt like for a while. That being said, let me know what you're most excited for the next few weeks.